Hello, everybody. This is Mema. Welcome to part one of my Sierra Leone study abroad vlog. This trip was a part of my spring 2025 coursework on post war reconstruction and state building with Sierra Leone as the case study. Sierra Leone is a beautiful country located on the West African coast. It has a rich yet complex history, and over our coursework, we really focus on how the history of the country, pre colonialism, during colonialism, and post colonialism, all had impacts and effects on what would later be an 11-year civil war that ended in 2002. This vlog is my way of documenting not just the places I visited, but also the stories, lessons, and emotions that I experienced along the way. The journey to Freetown began with an international flight. First to Brussels, which is about 7 hours from EWR, then a 3 hour layover, and then another 7 hour flight. But first, before stopping in Freetown, we stopped in Conakry, Guinea. The travel was long, but there was so much excitement that I just couldn't wait to see what lied ahead on ground in Sierra Leone. One of our first experiences was meeting restaurant owners who had lived in the US before returning to Sierra Leone to open this beautiful Eco Lodge, which is Tariq's. So prior to us getting to Freetown, we actually spent the night in Lunge because of how late we arrived. We would then travel by boat the next day to get into Freetown. So for dinner, I had cassava leaf, which I absolutely love. That's the Liberian in me. And also ginger beer.
So, just a quick, first of all, my parents are from Sierra Leone, but I was raised here. I was born in England, and I was raised here. I was 7 when I returned from England, and I was here through primary and secondary school, but I went to college in the U.S. I went to the University of Maryland. My husband went, well, he did his undergraduate, and you tell them about yourself. Yours is longer.
All the time. Anyway, I was born in Ghana. Say yeah.
Yay! That'll be the next study abroad, maybe.
That's right. You will love it, I promise.
Ghana is amazing.
Anyway, yeah,
I'm going there next week, Monday.
Oh, you are? I'm jealous already. Anyway, grew up in Ghana, actually. College, graduate school in Ghana. Ended up in the U.S. for further studies. I was in the Washington, D.C. area.
He was at Howard University.
I taught religion. I went into public service for many years.
So he did a second master's and he has a PhD in public urban planning and all that.
Yeah.
He's a very educated.
And she brought me here.
And I did. And this used to be a farm. It was a mango, cashew farm. And we've kept most of the trees. For every one tree we cut, we planted 3 more. Just to keep it very green. So the history is I came for my father's 80th birthday in 2015. Couldn't get on the ferry had left. I couldn't find a place that I would stay because I was sleeping on white sheets. I could be bougie when I want to be. I don't know if you guys understand that, but I like to be in a plush place. So I went and told my husband, I said, you know what? I think a good idea would be to do a bed and breakfast. And surprisingly, he agreed with me. And so we came. The property used to be 2 acres. It's now 4.3 acres. So we got a lot of people offering us land to purchase, and we purchased it. And then we started building. So this is a completely eco place. The only thing that's not eco is our generator. We have to use a generator because we have no power and we rarely have power. These are mud huts. These buildings are all mud. And then the painting is all mud. That's what we used to paint it. All the windows we got from the US that were thrown away, like discarded, like you go to a reuse place. So that's why if you look around there, no 2 windows are the same, 2 are the same, 3 are not the same. That's what it is. But to be honest with you, this has been a worthwhile venture. We don't advertise. We only get our customers through word of mouth, but it has worked. Because when you come, we treat you like your family, and you go, and then we usually get a call back. City Hall students were there. They said it was beautiful, so we'd like to make a reservation. So that's how it is, but it's a really good business. I can tell you, it's much needed, even though it's a very difficult path because of the power issue. We run our generator 24/7 because if we have one guest, we need 24 hours.
And imagine how expensive that is.
It is very expensive. But you know what? Because my background is in accounting, I have kind of come to a place where if I have 5 guests, I'm really covering my overhead and everything else. Everything other than that, on top of that, is really not a profit, but it's a return on our investment because the investment was quite significant. The property, like I said, sits on 4.3 acres. You're welcome tomorrow to video, walk around. That area there, we have 2 swimming pools. One is for the guests and one is our private one. But we do allow our guests to use it. We have our private home back there as well. We constantly own the property because we work, my husband and I work every day, all day. But we're such a partner.
Thank you so much.
And we're happy to have you guys here. Sierra Leone is not. Were you born here? In Sierra Leone? Good. But Sierra Leone used to be so when we were growing up. It was. How old are you? Right now?
Oh,
But because when we were here, and I go back to like the 70s, this was a beautiful place to be. We had power,
Yeah.
we had crossing guards, we had
Working street lights.
yes, working street lights, we had everything. But not anymore.
Before you forget, they're particularly interested in the realities.
The realities are real.
Running
The challenges of running a business. Because the course is, actually, can one of you introduce us and let her know what this course is about and what we're doing, and then that way. So who can do that? Don't make me call on someone. Thank you. Go ahead.
So the course is post-conflict state building in Sierra Leone.
Post-conflict.
Post-conflict state building in Sierra Leone. So basically in class we've been like covering like the history and like the Civil War and how like since then how like different like international groups and like local groups have tried to like rebuild like I guess and like yeah, to rebuild the state. And
This is probably the best case study I've had.
It is, I can tell you that.
Seriously.
So Sierra Leone, of course you guys have heard about the history, but let me tell you, I think before the war even came, we were on our way down. I have to be honest, we were.
And they do know the A.T. Stevens.
We were on our way down because during our time here, education was very important. All my family, everybody's educated somewhere or the other. And when I say educated, the minimum is you have to finish college. When you're finished with high school, it wasn't where you were going to go. And most people went to private college. I didn't because I left here. I was 19, so I went to college. So Sierra Leone was already poised to be a problem. Let's just put it that way. And the war just exacerbated the situation. Now, I think that we could do better now. There are many political, there are many things that are a problem here. I.e., the electoral leaders who are leaders are where they're leading us to. There are very few people here that are business people that are indigenous of here. Most of the places that you go to, they're all Lebanese or Indians, but they're the ones that can afford it. People like us that are, I gladly say I am from Sierra Leone, my parents are from here, you really don't have the upper hand to do things. But thank God for America. God bless America. I learned a lot there, and I've brought it here. But Sierra Leone still has a long way to go.
So today is officially the first morning in Lunge, Sierra Leone. We came yesterday. We arrived. We arrived at about 7 p.m. and we spent the night in Lunge at Tariq's. I'm going to record a little bit. I did record a little bit last night, but I realized I didn't bring an SD card. So I'm improvising in the meantime with my phone, but the time is now 7 a.m. So we have a full day packed for us. I'm gonna get ready and hopefully be able to bring you through the day. So far, it has been beautiful, warm reception, and I'm excited to see what day one official has in store for us. So stay tuned with me and follow. So now I'm officially going to go ahead and get myself ready for the day. We do have a start time of 8, I believe. We need to meet up for breakfast by 7:30. It is now 7:10, and I still wanted to record a little bit of the resort, so I'm gonna just be very quick right now. They're boiled, right? Their story really highlighted themes of diaspora and entrepreneurship. In a post-war setting, businesses are not just about profit, but they're also about rebuilding livelihoods, creating jobs, and restoring community confidence. For me, this was a powerful reminder that reconstruction is as much about economic stability as it is about politics or peace agreements. After a good night's rest, we visited the Peace Museum and Memorial.
which was the official end of Sierra Leone. On this side, surrounding the tomb, are 18 pillars, because the Sierra Leonean conflict was a civil war involving all aspects of this country. The 18 pillars represent the 18 districts of Sierra Leone.
Maybe come in.
Yeah, you can come in. You can walk around the tomb and see at the front, just because I told you earlier that I grew up during that conflict. Just when I was leaving to go to Norway, still a high school student, is when I wrote this poem, which eventually became part of this memorialization. Eventually, in 2000, the United Nations decided to get involved because the violence got out of hand. It was on the news everywhere. You will recognize your country here somewhere, but these were the countries that contributed the police force. They were supposed to keep the peace in the major cities across the country. Australia up onto Zimbabwe.
Hundreds of people were tortured, strangulated, and killed here. It stands today as a site of conscience to remind Sierra Leoneans of where we have been, as a way of preventing violence.
These spaces preserve the memory of Sierra Leone's civil war and honor to its victims. Walking through, I was struck by how important collective memory is for reconciliation. You truly can't move forward without acknowledging the pain of the past. The museum and memorial don't just tell the story, they also create a space for reflection, justice, and learning. And a cool fact, Joseph Kafala, who is the brains behind the memorial, he dedicates so much time and effort to ensuring that the memorial is preserved and that this part of Sierra Leonean history is not forgotten. He also provides a space for students. He has a writing nook and just space for students to come study and really have community space. Another site that we visited was Bunce Island, which was formerly a slave fort, which is part of Sierra Leone's painful connection to the transatlantic slave trade.
But the barbaric act that took place here for quite a long time, it's really pathetic. Bunce Island initially was not the first slave island in Sierra Leone. To start with, Freetown was officially called Rumorong. It was the first name for Freetown. When the Portuguese visited Sierra Leone in the early 1400s, specifically 1462, by a man called Pedro de Centra, and saw the mountains of the peninsula of the estuary, and the shape of the mountain resembled like a shape of a lion, and it was during the rainy season with the thunders, and then he said in the Portuguese, Serra do Roa, which means the lion's mountain. It's not a justification that we have many lions. Don't go and tell your friends go to Sierra Leone for lions. But just the shape of the peninsula mountains. So as for Freetown, what's called Rumorong was later changed to Georgetown. The change of the name of Freetown happens when we started repatriation of slavery back to Sierra Leone in 1807. And Romrong was changed to Georgetown, of course, to remember the King of England, King George III. And then it was later changed to Graveltown, and later to the Provinces of Freedom, and then Freetown, meaning this town is free for free slaves. Thousands of our brothers and sisters have been taken from the islands, cut across Sierra Leone, on Banana Islands, York Islands, Kent. Of course, Bunce Island was the major slave port, and they suffered very, very badly. They were treated just like any animals. But there are 4 sets of slaves being delivered to Sierra Leone after the abolition of slave trade. And there are four major companies that we have operated here. We have the Gambia Adventure, the Royal African Company of England, the Sergeant Company, and then the John and Alexander Anderson Company was the last company that was operated here before they closed this place, or before slavery was abolished in 1807. England make it clear that they were the first Europeans to abolish slavery. But you know, there are many Europeans, there are many territories many British territories, and they're still making money, and the money is still going to England. But for England, they declare that anybody who set their feet on the soil of England will be completely a free person. So for Sierra Leone, even though when they abolished slavery in 1807, there is still illegal slavery going on up to 1838. When they want to abolish slavery, the chief agent here who was trying to stop the British government not to abolish slavery, he has to send a petition Thomas Knight to the British Parliament. Say, please don't abolish slavery. But if you abolish slavery now, we'll lose. But thank God, many philanthropists, many Christian missionaries, and some British parliamentarians, the likes of William Wilberforce, they were pushing hard for it. But William Wilberforce, he was the youngest British parliamentarian who was just convincing his people, trying to stop this act. Finally, he succeeded. But before then, he has to convince a man called John Newton. John Newton was a slave trader here in Sierra Leone, and I quote, when I was in Sierra Leone, and I used to pack my boat just like a box in a shelf. Many slaves died through their own human waste. Many sharks follow my boat because they need to survive the human bodies. So William Wilberforce was trying to convince John Newton so John Newton can confess his atrocity to the House of Commons, so that they can realize how bad it is. He succeeded. He confessed. He regret. He used part of his money to establish a Christian missionary society called the Wesleyan Missionary Society of Sierra Leone. He became a good Christian and a good contributor for Sierra Leone. And he was the one who also wrote the song, The Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I can see. So let's have like a 2-minute listen to that song, which is very important.
And we had a moment of silence in which our amazing tour guide Abdullah played Amazing Grace. Out of respect for copyright, I can't share the song itself here, but I do want to describe how powerful and profound that moment was. Standing in that space, hearing the words of sorrow and redemption brought weight of history into the present. It was definitely a sobering reminder of Sierra Leone's role in global history and of the resilience of the people.
Let's make a pause here for a while. Now what you can see here is all the trees. Sometimes you lucky see monkeys around, termites, and of course you see these baobab trees. Of course, these are trees can last for 2,000 years. Some parts of Africa they use this tree to store some water, like in Madagascar. But many Black Americans that are coming back home to trace their route back to Sierra Leone, some of them prefer to carve their names on the tree, or some of them prefer to actually own or have African names and carve them on the tree. The reason was this was a kind of a sign of a connection, a reflection back to the ancestors. But now we have put that to stop, because if not, we'll kill the trees. Actually, you can see so many carvings on it now. There are some islands here. There's an island called Kakam. On the way, I will show you. 300 people reside on that island. And that island also suffered significantly during the Atlantic slave trade movement. And initially, they used to have a song they were singing to the British because they were telling them that they were terrified, they were very afraid, they were very scared. Don't eat us, because they thought it's all about cannibalism. Say, please, if you need fish, we are fishermen, we can fish for you. If you need meat, we are hunters. And the song goes like this. Deke mama kero sui, sete kuku. Deke mama kero sui, sete kuku, sete kuku. Elo pengani emai susonudi, techamengani emai isonudi. Yo deke mama kero sui, sete kuku. Where are you taking us to? Where are you taking us to? If you need fish, we provide you fish. We are fishermen. Means we provide it as well. But please do not take us away. But again, the song became useless to the British because they have no understanding of the meaning. So they just have to shackle them together and put them on a boat and then take them away. There's also another island called Tasso. It is a very big island. In fact, it was the first island before Bunce Island. It's about 6 kilometers long, and most of the slaves escaped. They have to escape from their masters, and it's very, very difficult to track them back because it was so much forest and so on. And because of there's a huge loss of them, so they decided that let's move to Bunce Island, which is a very small island and it's easy to manage. While they're here, the pirates attacked this island twice, 1719, 1720. The French attacked this island 4 times because it's all about European powers. Everyone wants to come and cut for his own birthday cake. Everyone wants to push out the British from the Danish, the Dutch, the French, the Portuguese. Everyone wants to make a way. But the British were very firm and very defensive to make sure that they continue to have the opportunities that they're having from here. Even though when the French continued to attack this island, the last French attack was 1792. And then the first set of slaves being delivered to Sierra Leone were called the Black Ball. Why they were delivered? It's because of the work of the charity of the Christian missionaries, or it's because of the philanthropists, or it's because of something else. It all is true. Yes, the philanthropists work very hard. The Christian missionaries work very hard. And again, the government themselves were thinking that if we do not repatriate slaves from England, our city will be filthy and will be full of crime. So in the back state, yes, let's get them out of here. Let them go back where they came from. On the open state, oh yeah, they are human beings. They need to go back to the original country where their forefathers came from. So they were hiding behind their shell. Whatever, they came back, in 1787. And they were here happily. They were received by many local people, because many people, in fact, embraced them because they all looked the same color, everything was the same. So they were given the opportunity to settle around the Quartern Tree area in Freetown, which is one of the oldest parts of the city, because there was no new settlement. So they have to sleep under the tree till finally they find them a new settlement before ever they started to interact and also to be part of the community. And then we have the second set of slaves that delivered to Sierra Leone in 1792. We are called the Nova Scotians. Of course, Nova Scotians, these are loyalist slaves to the British during the American War for the American War of Independence in 1776. Most of them went to the side of the British because the British promised them that if we do succeed, all of you will be free. And definitely, unfortunately, England lose that war. So we have to take part of them, about 1,500 to 2,000. They took them to Canada, where they resided at Nova Scotia. But again, they were complaining that the weather is too cold for them. So it is better for them to come back home because they already had an information that the first set of slaves has been delivered to Sierra Leone from England. So they were very happy and excited to come back home. And when they came, before they came, they promised them that, in fact, if you are going to Sierra Leone, if you are willing to go to Sierra Leone, each and every one of you is going to have a 20 acres of land. So you can do your agricultural practice, you can do whatever you want, you can rule yourself. You will be completely independent. It came, 1792. Of course, the king of Freetown, when they came, when the first group of slaves came, the king of Freetown was not around. And the king of Freetown by then was called King Winibana. But the name was unable to pronounce by the British Winibana. In fact, they say Nibana. And there is a street named Nibana Street. So it was King Tom who actually negotiated with them. So finally, even when the second group again came, the Nova Scotians, it's so sad because they came, slavery is still legal in Sierra Leone. And the Sierra Leone company also hired them after the French had destroyed parts of the fort for them to come and fortify and rebuild the fort again. Are you getting it? Of free slaves being hired to reconstruct a slave fort for where any slave is still legal. That's really, crazy. Anyway, so, and when they came, they do give them the piece of land. But later on, the British start asking them that they should pay taxes for the piece of land. And they said, no, it was not part of the deal. Then we have the first war called the Nova Scotia Rebellion. And one of their leader was Thomas Peter, the ex-slave leader, Thomas Peters, stood firm and said, we are not going to pay any tax because we had an agreement and we have a bond. And when you go back to Freetown alongside Wellington Justice Street, there's a statue of him holding the agreements, documents between him and behalf of his people and the British government. He said, we don't have to pay nothing. But yesterday he was arrested of wanting to cause chaos to the colony. Some said he died naturally, natural death. Anyway, so after the Nova Scotians actually, and then we have the third group that we are delivered to Sierra Leone called the Maroons. That makes Sierra Leone a multicultural society. And the Maroons is our ex-slave from Jamaica to Nova Scotia and all the way again to Sierra Leone. And then we have the last group that came, we call them the recaptives. After slavery has been abolished, we are captured again and recaptured again by the British and then let them free. And they put them at a place called the King's Yard, which I will show you in Freetown. The King's Yard is like an asylum place where they put them, they quarantine them for like 3 months, give them some medical treatment if ever they release them back to the colony. So if the country tree can talk, just sadly 1 year ago, we lose that country tree. Part of it is gone. The huge chunk of it is gone because of the baby sperm, but that tree can talk.
From there on, we visited the Railroad Museum, which showcases Sierra Leone's once vibrant rail system. Railroads were central to trade, connectivity, and development before their decline in the 1970s.
Well done. Good job.
Standing among the old trains definitely felt like we took a step into another chapter of Sierra Leone's history, one that reflected ambition, modernization, and the country's linkages to the wider world. We also got to explore the ruins of Fabre Bay College, which was once known as the Athens of Africa. It was the oldest university in Sierra Leone and one of the first in West Africa. Seeing the ruins was such a bittersweet moment. On one hand, it did symbolize Sierra Leone's proud legacy of higher education and leadership. I mean, everywhere we went, there were so many people who had education, who took pride in seeking higher education and leadership. But on the other hand, it also reflected the toll of conflict and the ongoing challenge of preserving institutions. It reminded me that education has always been central to progress, and rebuilding is essential for the country's future. After such a full and emotional day, a few of us ended with something lighter. We went bowling. It was a chance to relax, process everything we had seen, and bond with some classmates. These moments of laughter and connection reminded me that study abroad is not only about history and politics, but also about the human connection and joy in every This part of my blog captured the foundations of Sierra Leone's story, its history, its resilience, and ongoing reconstruction, from entrepreneurship to memorials. In part 2, I'd like to take you further into our journey. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me for the next chapter.